About a month after this, I took a trip to Tennessee, where I'm from, to visit my folks. I grew up in Kingsport, Tennessee, which is right along the Virginia state line in the northeastern part of the state. It's not unlike the terrain here. It's very hilly. It's a beautiful part of the world. But it's very, in many places around there, very poor. It's the Southern Appalachians. And I read in my hometown newspaper that weekend that something called an expedition was being held in Wise County, Virginia, just up the road, about 50 miles from Kingsport. And I was intrigued. The paper said that people were expected to drive 400 and 500 miles away to come to this expedition, which was being held at the Wise County, Virginia Fairgrounds. I borrowed Dad's car because I was working on a white paper for CIGNA at the time, really for the industry, to try to make people think that the problem of the uninsured is not a big problem after all. That a lot of people, if not most people who are uninsured, were that way by choice. That it was just because they were shirking their individual responsibility. So that's what we wanted people to believe, and that's what they still want you to believe. But I was just curious, and I drove those 50 miles up the winding road of US Highway 23. Well, that turned out to be my road to Damascus, because when I walked through the fairground gates in Wise County, Virginia, I saw something that I never would have expected to have seen in the United States of America. I saw people who were standing in long lines. Talk about waits, long waits that we were trying to make people believe happens in countries that have single-payer systems. There were people who had waited a year for the opportunity to come and stand in long lines. They had driven from Ohio, they'd driven from Alabama and Georgia and South Carolina and Kentucky and Tennessee and Virginia and West Virginia to be able to camp out in the parking lot the night before the gates opened. Many of them didn't get much sleep because they wanted to be able to get up and line up well before dawn when the numbers were going to be handed out. And they were. Well before dawn, the organizers start handing out numbers to people who are standing in line. And after so many numbers are handed out, they close the gates. No more people can get in that day. And they did the same thing over the next day and the next day. Over 3 days, thousands of people come to get free care. It's free because doctors and nurses and optometrists and dentists and other caregivers from all over the state come to Wise County for these 3 days to volunteer their time. They are able to, there's also donations of equipment and medications and glasses and other kinds of things that people need. I saw that these people were soaking wet because it had been raining that morning, and they were standing in long lines that stretched out of view. And I saw that those lines led to barns and animal stalls that other volunteers had come to clean out as best they could, a couple of days before. There weren't enough barns and animal stalls, though. So the organizers had to set up tents around the fairgrounds where people could be treated. And these were open-sided tents. I could walk around and took pictures of people who were being treated. There was very little privacy. I found out that most of those people have jobs. Almost all of them have jobs. These weren't people who were on Medicaid, because people in Medicaid are in a government-run plan. They're not people who are on Medicare, because Medicare is a government-run plan. These were people who were middle-class folks, working-class people, who were in working for companies that didn't offer benefits. Some of them actually did have insurance, though, and they were working for firms or they bought it in the individual market, but these plans had such high deductibles or limited benefits. And these are the kinds of plans, folks, that insurance companies are trying to move all of us into. Many of us are already there. These plans have such high deductibles that you might as well be uninsured. You're paying premiums every month, but the deductibles are so high that people just can't go to the doctor. They can't pick up their medications. In Maine, for example, there's a Blue Cross plan up there. It's one of the big for-profits, part of the big for-profit organization that is selling plans, and it's the only thing that some people can afford, that has a $30,000 a year deductible. Folks, that is where the insurance industry wants to take us all. It is to be, if we have insurance, it's to put us in these plans because they make money hand over fist when they can get us into these plans. And that is the trend. That's one of the reasons I left.